What we do here is go back.
So, the question now that's left after my other video would be, where do I stand now? And I was actually recently asked this in a Google Plus Hangout. My first one, actually. Never been in one before, so I tried it out. And I was asked, and I'm like, I don't really know how to answer that question. I'm not exactly a theist, because my idea of God, I don't necessarily believe exists as anything, especially one that I need to believe in. But, or even a thing as in the sense of a creator. But I also don't believe that there's absolutely nothing there. I believe there's something, it's just not really a thing. It's that thing that does that in between that prevents us from completely being separated. It's that in between that completely prevents anything from living completely on its own. But it is that thing that lives completely on its own. I just think to recognize that it's there, it creates things. Not for any specific reason, not for any particular purpose, but they all go together in some way, shape, or form. Everything is connected and needed for everything else in some way, shape, or form. So I don't really know what category to put myself in. But that's what I believe. I believe that we are all connected, at least in some type of sense. Even watching a documentary, someone had mentioned that argon atoms are shared by everybody in the world, and this is from like Jesus times, if Jesus existed type thing. I'm not going into that now, but this is from like Bible times, from the beginning. Like, you breathe out argon atoms that will now circulate the world for at least the remainder of the time that you're here, and probably much longer than that afterwards. Recycled over and over and over again. But in that sense, we are connected and share everything. And then our way of not understanding that, to me, is all ego related. It's not that it's a bad thing, but it's still ego related, an illusion type thing related. But that's where I would say, I guess, I stand. I don't have any particular deity that I believe in or listen to and obey, but I am also not self-promoting, like, worship me, I know all the answers. Or for me to worship myself because I know all the answers. I do know all the answers, but not me. The other me. The real me. The one that I believe is what others refer to as God, but take it and separate it. But I guess, yeah, that's about it. I don't have any real name for it. I call it God because it's easy and it's what I grew up with. So it's easy to kind of stick to that, but I don't think it really has a name. I think it's like in Taoism where they say, the great Tao flows everywhere, to the left and to the right. It loves and nourishes all things, but it doesn't lord it over them. Merits attained, it lays no claim to them. But it's everywhere. You look out the window, what is the Tao? You look out the window, everything that you see going on, that's it. That's what I believe God to be, which would make me that same thing. I remember my friend Melissa had said that. That was one of the strongest statements that I remember hearing out of her mouth at the time when I first started talking to her. Where she said, I am God. And I'm like, no, you're not. And then once I understood what she meant by it, I was like, all right, yes, absolutely, you are. Because I am too. And everybody else is, even though some may not realize it or know it or care to know it. Then there's that aspect of that makes this irrational, where if they don't know it, then is God not that powerful? And in my head, no, it doesn't really mean that. I think deep down everyone does know it. It's just an extreme form of suppression of it. And it could be related to the fact that God's experiencing everything that it's possible to experience. God being whatever it is that's connecting all of us with everything else that's here. We're not here if there are no trees here. That's where our oxygen comes from. We're not here with no trees here. Move trees where you go to. But that's what makes my thought on calling it God or putting it as any particular thing that's why I don't do it so much, because there's that question behind it where, okay, cool, well, if that's what your God is, then why isn't he strong enough to, it's not a strength thing. To me, it's separating to say that you would know one experience without another. And it's just whatever that experience is, and just happens to take the forms that it does. Some which are extremely terrible, and some which are absolutely great. Why can't God wake up in everybody and everybody realize the same thing? Because it doesn't want to. It wants to experience everything that it can possibly experience. As much as that is great and as much as that is terrible. We think the terrible sucks and we would want a complete utopia, but then we wouldn't know what bad was anymore. We wouldn't know what good was. We wouldn't know that we're in a good place. Why? Because we wouldn't know the difference. If we never experienced anything else, how would you know that you're in a good place? Do you go there with all the memories? I don't know. But since I don't think a place like that can exist, that interconnectedness, that to me is what I consider to be God. But yeah, that's where I stand. At least for the most part. I do not have a title for it. But I don't know, if I come across one, I'll go with it. For now, I'm just leaving it at that. Peace.